Hello, everyone. Um, this is the last session of Cyprus Forum. I, first of all, would like to thank the organizers of this forum. This is the first time I'm involved in this forum. And since the 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I've been listening all the contributors. I have really become more and more aware of the deepness and complexity of the Cyprus problems. Let me first introduce myself. My name is Müge Akkar Ercan. I'm from Ankara, from Middle East Technical University, and I'm professor of urban planning and design. And today we'd like to look at the complexity of Cyprus, the society, divided society, from the perspective of urban dynamics. We'd like to raise the questions of how urban dynamics can contribute to the integration of the island, the society, two societies, as well as communities, as one of the contributors specifically emphasized, and also how urban dynamics can contribute to sustainability and the shared future of Cyprus for the new generation. These are the questions we want to raise, and we want to discuss together with you. I'm so pleased to see young friends here, as well as colleagues, hopefully it will be, at the end, this is the end of the day, but I would like you also contribute to this session. This is very important because at the end of the day, it's forum. Let me introduce all my contributors of this panel. Byron, Ioannou, Professor of Urban Planning at the Department of Architecture at Frederick University. Gizem, she's urban planner from Nicosia, Turkish municipality. And Dr. Münevver Özgür, Özersay, she's architect and also founding director of Miro Design Room and UK Space. First of all, our discussion is going to be around 3 questions. We want to identify and state the current state and impact of urban dynamics across the UN buffer zone and its impact to communities, environmental sustainability, local economies of both Famagusta and Nicosia. And afterwards, we'll talk about shared vision and planning, and finally, the challenges and potentials, opportunities. So let me raise my question to Byron. First of all, how does the division of the UN buffer zone currently affect the local economies, urban communities, and environmental sustainability of both Nicosia and Famagusta?
Good evening also from my side. We are very glad to have Müge here from Ankara. We did a lot to organize this panel, and of course Gizem and Münevver. And thank you for attending this last panel. Regarding the impacts, I will start with the term urban development. It's something that we deal with in planning. Urban development for the one part of the city, for the one part of Nicosia, is it something good or bad for the other part? I'm sure that if Professor Psaltis was here now and did his research, maybe a huge part of the population is considering the urban development of the other part as negative for the one part. And this is something we should consider. But if we say sustainable urban development, it's obvious and anyone can understand that the sustainable urban development of one side is for the benefit also, for the benefit of the other side, is good. And it's something that externalities support. We need to be sustainable. And I'm afraid that we cannot be sustainable enough if we don't know what Müge asked, the exact impact of the division. We are not measuring now. We create plans, urban plans, visions, without knowing exactly what is happening to the other side and without connecting our plans with what is happening on the other side in the region, of course, of Famagusta and, of course, in Nicosia. We need to see the image of the whole city. I have a lot of publications. I write the word Nicosia, I write the word Famagusta, and I'm thinking now that in all of my publications, when I talk about Nicosia, I mean half Nicosia, not the whole city. And this is what we all do. If you search for publications from the Turkish Cypriot community, you will see that Nicosia, they mean the north part. I think we can contribute as academics, as researchers, and start collecting data, representing data, and analyzing the broad picture. And if we analyze the broad picture, we will see that the costs are obvious. Anybody can understand that the division has cost. A guy from Gionelli that wants to shop in Athenides has cost today. The opposite movements have cost. We started with commerce, we started with exchange of services, but there are a lot of barriers that increase the cost between the cooperation of the two parts of the city and the territory. And do we feel that we compete each other? For example, Famagusta region is a region that can promote a lot of economic opportunities and a lot of development opportunities if there is initiative and if there is a forum trying to find ways to do this within the current status, not waiting the solution of the Cyprus problem. There are social dynamics across the buffer zone that we are not aware. We didn't measure the relations between people in a quantitative manner. We don't know who is married to whom, who is visiting whom. To understand the dynamics, we need to find out. And in the end, to conclude, the environment is the loser of this division, because when we have noise or pollutants in the one side, then the other side suffers and the opposite. And we cannot claim that we are carbon neutral or green city if it's only half of it. And it's the same regarding Famagusta region and Nicosia, of course.
Thank you, Byron. Now, what we want to do is to discuss how we can create the shared vision and planning, how planning can contribute to the integration of two societies and communities, and how collaboration, cooperation can be built through that. So I would like to ask first Gizem, what are the existing mutually developed plans and shared visions for the future of Nicosia and Famagusta?
Thank you, Ercan. For the last 50 years of total division on the international level, we haven't been successful in overcoming the conflict. However, on the local level, we have many success stories. Mr. Fikri Toros mentioned a lot, he summarized them very well in his speech, starting from the Mia Miglia sewage project and then continuing with a variety of infrastructural projects. But the one that needs to be emphasized in terms of urban structure is probably the Nicosia Master Plan, which was very innovative at the time that it was done, as well as today, I think, still one of a kind around the world, because it allowed us to carry on rehabilitation work even though there was no reunification, and there is no reunification in the city. So the functional integration of the city was actually a possibility through with the plan. But when we look, I think things started to change around 2000s when the first gate opened. Not just economical relations, but also social contact between the communities increased. And then came in 2008 the technical committees that started working on immediate solutions for urban issues that we had, like the preservation of the cultural heritage, environment, health, and these technical committees, some of them are still working very efficiently. But all these things that I have mentioned until now are actually coming from the top. They are top-down approaches, and they are mostly technical, as again Victoros has mentioned. The parties who are actively meeting to realize these projects were non-political, businessmen, planners, designers, whatever. So, yes, they were, as I said, top-down. What keeps the heart running, however, in Cyprus, I believe, is the bottom-up approaches. So the ones that are coming from the grassroots, because they allow connection on a daily basis, they allow people to meet in their daily lives, not just technocrats, but everyone. And that's what I think gave birth to the synergetic civil society projects that we can observe today in Nicosia, like the Home for Cooperation Association for Historical Research and Dialogue, or Cyprus Dialogue Forum. Now, yes, there is a long history of civil society working for peace in Cyprus, but I think what should be emphasized in this history is the resilience of it, because regardless of the political climate, regardless of the limitations, they keep coming in a more proactive, pragmatic, innovative ways, let's say. So yes, I want to emphasize one last thing here, that in all these things we are actually talking about a depoliticization for something to occur in Cyprus, tangible things to occur in Cyprus on the urban scale. We have to be talking about them in terms of depoliticization, because there's a contrast between political division and functional interdependency of the both sides of Cyprus. So in order to overcome these things, we have to depoliticize and contextualize urban interdependency in terms of technicalities, in terms of humanistic pretenses, so that we can overcome, or we can even provide political change in Cyprus through these grassroots movements and depoliticization. Yes.
Thank you, Gizem. Now I would like to give the word to Münevver. They have a very good example and projects in terms of the bottom-up, showing the bottom-up approach. Please tell us your experience about it.
Okay, thank you, Hajam. If I knew that I was going to die tomorrow and you asked me what were the most meaningful things in your life, what did you do? I would definitely mention my contribution as an architect in the technical committee of the Home for Cooperation building. It was an amazing experience, and I'm still every day very proud of what they have done and so happy that I could contribute. That was 20 years ago. And then the second thing I would think of would be really hands-on Famagusta project, which kind of started 10 years ago. And in 2016, we proudly presented at the Venice Architectural Biennale as a bi-communal group. And actually our group name is Imaginary Famagusta, and we are altogether 6 people: Socrates Stratis and Christanti Constantino, Emre Akbil, Esracan, and Lara Anna Scarf. And we managed to bring this project only with the help of collaboration with Lucy and AA+U office. So why am I saying this? Just to emphasize that we need to come together and do things together for the bottom-up success. Another dimension of it was that we did everything what we did based on the assumption that we are not dealing with the property issues, that and that we are doing everything informally. We avoided many problems by moving on like this. And we didn't present a master plan for Famagusta. What we did, like for this project, that together with citizens, students, municipalities and planners from both sides, we co-created a mobile city model. We have huge data, which is at the moment sleeping under a website. Hopefully we will get together again to find some funds to resurrect this. And we went street by street with students. Each Greek-speaking student had a Turkish-speaking company so that they could belong to each other and move around the city very comfortably. And street by street, we did a survey of the whole city of Famagusta, which was then 3D printed into a model. And it is now at the University of Cyprus and ready to be, again, modularly set up for further discussions and group brainstormings and so on. So what mattered most was not the final product, the model or whatever, but it was the process of commoning. And we, all of us, negotiating thresholds and making hidden fractures visible and beginning to transform contested space into shared space. For Famagusta and for Cyprus and for many other similar contested urban areas, this means that we already have a shared vocabulary in the toolkit. So we went around EU and representatives of political parties. We went around describing them, what we were doing, and we tried to promote it as a tool for other policy-making strategies, which we really succeeded in failing. Okay, all of them thought that we were asking for funds or something. No, we were saying, okay, we have this participatory tool, these ways of thinking, we have different agendas and, you know, topics to consider, and a vocabulary that is very meaningful for the negotiation table, and so on. It stayed at an individual level. But, I mean, like, the challenge now is not to start from zero for us, but to scale up these practices and integrate them into formal planning processes so that shared visions are not only imagined, but also institutionalized. Hello, sorry. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Münevver. Actually, I was really fascinated by this your experiences. I mean, both of them. They are really concrete examples in terms of showing how bottom-up projects can develop through the participation and collaboration of different actors, including professionals like planners, architects, as well as young generations, and how space can be a really very strong agent to integrate these different communities, different societies. I mean, and at the end, if you experience the whole process, I mean, not only outcome you bring forth as concrete build-up outcome, but if you experience the whole process, actually the awareness, raising awareness, learning, peer learning, these are all becomes really very vivid. And creating a common language, shared vision all together, these are the things that have been told actually over the whole afternoon. So these are the concrete examples in this sense. I believe they are very valuable. Just I would like to raise now the question of challenges as well as opportunities. How these projects can create some challenges, but at the same time they create some opportunities. Can I give the word to Byron?
Well, these bottom-up initiatives are some bright examples, and we need to scale them up, but we need to consider also the challenges. The major challenge is to play with the restrictions, and they did it successfully. We have some restrictions. We need to play with the rules of the game until the rules change maybe in the future. Of course, there are a lot of opportunities. There are opportunities within the current relations, exchanges that have been developed. For example, we have people, goods and services that move within the urban area. Can we make them move more? What are the initiatives that could increase the movements or the exchanges? Or how can we strengthen alliances? We have mutually recognized bodies. Instead of keeping everything informal, we can go a step further, and the technical chambers and the municipal authorities, they have relations. I was very encouraged by Harmanji and Brunzos yesterday that they are started again to discuss mutual actions. So we can find synergies. We can find alliances, for example, environmental protection goals, the emissions, the quality of air across the buffer zone, sustainable mobility, the commuting from through the cross points today is completely unsustainable. There is no consideration of moving in a more sustainable way. And in the end, the most difficult maybe is to try and foster cooperation in the formal planning. We are one of the few panels discussing planning issues in the last years. I think we are doing a small step, but this should be enlarged.
Thank you, Byron. Gizem, would you like to say?
Yes, I will be more abstract this time. I think our primary challenge is that we are too inward-oriented, too division-oriented. We neglect integration with the world in favor of integration within the island. So what I mean is actually we are trying to be socially connected internally, but externally we are avoiding this. So yes, we will secure and bridge our communities, but we also have to stay attractive and competitive globally, regionally. And for this, we need to overcome another very big challenge, which is the lack of physical and social connectivity we have on the island. Only if we overcome this lack, if we can transform it, we can create mutual responsibility and working together as community. And at the same time, if we can achieve this, we will see that this is a two-way street, that when we turn our face to the world, not only we will take from them, but we will give them what we have experienced until now, which is the vantage points we can offer, which in terms of the already existing efforts that we have for fostering social cohesion. This is an opportunity, and we should work on more on developing these community hubs that we already have in place. But the most important thing I want to emphasize is by doing this, we can create one single common public identity, not just the North, not just the South, but a global identity that works for both of us, that can create a new image for the communities in Cyprus. And I believe that the focus here should be the city, because cities are the future. Cities are the power hubs in the global system, in the existing global system. And thankfully, we have a history of bridging the divide through the cities, through Nicosia Master Plan and all the infrastructural projects that we mentioned and all the other achievements that we have done in Nicosia. And urban spaces offer very good, maybe the best platforms for transformation because they are the magnets of economic and social pools, locally as well as internationally. So here comes again the role of grassroots movements because as Byron was saying as an answer to his first question, we need to see what is happening on the ground because we have some naturally or organically growing community hubs, as I said, organically growing cohesion, collaboration. How is this happening? What is going on? We need more research, more surveys maybe to get to know how these things are happening organically. And then we can use urban planning maybe as a tool to create these socially sustainable and peaceful cities of the future. So the organic flourishing of social networks and how they can be promoted through creation of social shared spaces, I think, can pave the way for creating a new brand for Cyprus, actually. Not just, as I said, the north and the south. We have this legacy, we have this history to be able to create this, and we can become a unique aspect in this. Only then we can talk about a global identity, I think, for the whole of the cities and the islands of Cyprus.
Thank you. And Münevver, please.
I think that we lose a lot of energy by trying to fit in the roles that we think are defined for us, like as mothers, as workforce people, or as even leaders, or as conference organizers, and so on. And sometimes we lose the essence of belonging. Belonging in the simplest way of existence and belonging to nature, and nature is the bigger umbrella. Why am I saying this? Because I think even projects like what we did and the other similar urban dynamics in such contexts reveal the fragility and the potential, of course, but and the dependency of such projects on funds. And funds, again, determine what are the standards for us to fit in. So as a group, we were kind of talking about these things. And during the pandemic, with collaboration with Home for Cooperation, we made a workshop based on the case of marketplaces. And with joy, we discovered that market spaces reveal a lot of potential and opportunity for us to discuss many things because using it as a metaphor, we understood how people meet and how they negotiate and imagine themselves and as a part of larger community, even though when they come from different sides of a divide. So building on that success, our group later evolved into, we started calling ourselves Imaginary Federation. And we liked that because the market idea gave us the new idea of working another project as an open school for transition. A school of transition where we meant not only the political transition towards federalism, but also the ecological transition demanded by the Anthropocene. So even the route of how an apple traveled all the way from Troodos and how that apple traveled all the way from Troodos to Nicosia to the market, because there are people in the market selling apples from Troodos. It's amazing. It made us question many other things. So seen in this way, a market became more than commerce. It became a laboratory. And it made us to see the segregations of post-colonial divided cities and the possibilities of circular economies. And I want to end here, I think. So how can such cases help us move from separation to cooperation and from exclusion to shared responsibility for a common future? I think a lot of political, ethical responsibility falls on designers. You know, we need to be more united by design in a general sense. We are all designers, and we just need to stop fitting in, and we need to deliberately co-create new designs for ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Münevver. Now, I would like to give some, is there any question or comments from the audience, please?
Thank you for the very interesting discussion. I have two questions, actually. One is, I know there have been some similar initiatives. I have in mind the Famagusta EcoCity project, and I'm just curious, where did that stop, and whether you have reached out to those people, and whether you try to join forces or any other similar initiatives about connecting the two communities through architecture and design. And the second question is, you said you have a lot of data work that's just sitting and waiting for an opportunity. Are you trying to pitch this to politicians from both sides when stars align and something magic happens and they give you the opportunity to implement some of those?
I will start from yes, we did pitch to people, and that's what I meant. It stayed at the individual level. We couldn't move it on even the petition we did for a technical committee to handle the problems of Varosha with a technical committee, international one. We tried to push that through, and we managed institutions like ETEC and the union on our side even signed that. But we want to start again. We had some other personal issues, by the way, and at the moment 3 of our group members are in Sheffield, and one of our group members is freshly a mother of her second child. And I think these are important things as well, but we came together with Socrates thinking that we should start pitching again, and we need to find a way. It's not a possibility, it's a necessity. We will work on it. And regarding EcoCity, Ceren and some of her friends are friends as well. And it was a totally different project than Hands-on Famagusta. They were more looking at it ethnographically and working on a film and like a bit more of storytelling and maybe future predictions and things like that. To be honest, I don't know where they are at this moment, but we were in touch, and ours was really about bringing in as many voices as people, like even the immigrants, and we made the launches when we made the launch of the trilingual website, like we managed to bring Famagustians from Limassol by bus to there. And then later on, we made another one in Limassol, and we talked about our coast there. So even the immigrants, we tried to bring their voices and personas and agendas on the website. And we created actually a kind of game where with your each choice on the website, you could decide if you separate the city or if you bring it together. And really the idea worked also for Cyprus. If you decide to buy a house on the coastline and block its access to public, it is a decision that divides the city. So even even as people, our singular decisions influence the greater people. And our project is very difficult to explain in detail. Hopefully, we will resurrect the website and you will enjoy more. And we will come and pitch to you as well.
Yeah, and you have a platform here to present any
Okay.
developments every year.
We will be happy to.
Just to add on to additional architectural or urban bicommunal committees, yes. There is the one Mrs. Andrula was talking about, Europa Nostra Nicosia Hub. And then we have Cyprus Network for Urban Morphology again, which is a bicommunal committee. That's just to add on to that.
Thank you, Gizem.
Technical committee as well.
Please.
Well, I have a question in terms of urban planning instruments. You mentioned two, the Nicosia Master Plan and the Hands-on Famagusta project that resulted in this model. I would like to know to what extent they are shared, to what extent they are updated, used, I mean institutionally, and to what extent they are available for other people who would like to know more and to maybe to contribute to those plans. And also if they include the buffer zone.
For Nicosia Master Plan, it was done in the 1970s. It wasn't digital, it was handmade. And it included two scenarios, one with reunification, one with division. So yes, it included the buffer zone in one scenario, but not in the other one. When in 1990s the first master plan for Nicosia was being done in the Turkish side, the Nicosia master plan was taken as a basis, and then I know for a fact that it was also taken as a basis in the southern side as well. So yes, it was being referenced, but not maybe formally, let's say. But then, especially in the 2000s, a lot of follow-up projects came following the Nicosia Master Plan, like the Shared Vision project. I don't know, just New Vision, yes. So some follow-up projects came, and I can say it's still relevant in the context of the development of the city as a whole.
I would like to add that these projects, in my opinion, are sleeping today. If you don't have a body, an acting body, working, functioning, and exchanging ideas, updating, then in the end, it's just history.
When the mayors changed, sorry, Ercan, the technical committees working on the plans were, yes, distributed, and then.
I mean, regarding our things, we made many press conferences, press releases, and so on. And this book is amazing, and I can give it to you as a gift. I brought it to Gizem, but I can give her one later on. And it talks about the tools, like the transformative tools and the unifying visions. For Famagusta, they were the ecocultural heritage, one of the unifying visions, and the other unifying like infrastructure and the thick waterfront. They were the three visions, and as tools we used like counter mapping, we used the thresholds, and we asked really the questions, I forgot the English for it now. Controversial questions. We asked many controversial questions, and on those questions actually were based the game. But the book, I think, will, and more of it is available with Socrates Stratis. He will tell you more where you can buy. I can learn and then maybe post it on Facebook. I don't know how to reach you, but I can give you the book and you can contact Socrates maybe. Okay.
Okay, please. Oh, sorry. No.
Okay. Go back to Virona's initiative of the importance of the institutionalization of those events. If they come to the surface and they become formal, sometimes they become much bigger in terms of scale, but also they become visible. They become visible to the wider public. I know that there was a possibility of the Nicosia master plan moving forward into a detailed plan for Nicosia a few years back, about 8 years ago, and that failed. Was that a glitch? Was that something, an accident at that particular moment in time? Because the conditions sound to me as if they were similar as the 1970s plan, but it wasn't taken on. So I'm not sure if these formal events are going backwards instead of moving forward.
Are you talking about the area scheme?
The area scheme, yes.
It has been completed actually right now and institutionalized, formalized in the north as well.
Separately, you mean? Separately
Yes,
for the two
but the
sides.
team working for the south is actually worked for the north as well. So the two plans have developed in accordance with each other. At the time, the political climate was not, as you said, very favorable for the two municipalities, let's say, to work together. But yes, after 7 years or 8 years, yes, we have achieved to do it, I think, in accordance with each other.
I mean, in our case, I think we did not do a very good job in simplifying our language and communicating it to greater, and now we will be working on it. At the moment, today, I'm a runaway from a boot camp of Startups for Peace program. As a startup myself, for establishing a new initiative or company called EcoSpace. And there we are learning to turn design ideas or like ideas into some business ideas and business solutions. And I think we need to learn to pitch better and to sell our ideas better, because like where real money is and where it's going around, and it's a kind of more also a men's world. I mean, I think we need to be all of us, and we are not too little in number, I'm sure of that, ecofeminists, and we need to sell this more in a more professional way.
Thank you, Münevver. Please.
So, I just shout. Thank you for letting me speak. I haven't said a word since I came to this Cyprus Forum, but I've lived a lot of it. Particularly, I've lived the two mayors, Lelos and Mustafa Kinji, and one of the participants here, her father, were all here in this room 37 years ago. And they were talking about the things they're talking about. And I think nothing is in the past. We have to bring it back. We have to learn from people who are as old as me. Don't dismiss them, because they've tried it and maybe they've failed. But in their failure, they've set seed for the future. And I'm so glad that you're here, and it's a mainly feminist, I'm sure you're a feminist, platform, because my husband is an architect planner, and he's interested in these ideas, grassroots, and listening to people. In fact, he's better than most politicians. When he was working in Bristol, where I live. Okay.
Thank you for your contribution. Yes, but would you mind if I give the word to the lady, because she's been... He can take it. All right, okay.
No, I'm just interested or curious, as urban planners and architects, what steps do you think are being taken in terms of sustainability, like public transportation and improving green spaces in urban cities in Cyprus? Do you think there's progress being made, and how do you think both sides of Cyprus can learn from each other and sort of collaborate in like just increasing sustainability in cities in Cyprus?
Well, shame on me. I don't know to answer for the north part of Nicosia. I know, I know only for the southern part. There is the National Plan for Climate and Adaptation, and there are some goals we need to address. There is also an adaptation plan for the municipality of Nicosia. There are a lot of studies with measures, and there is one last plan on resilience. But I think they are all of them are very ambitious. We are not catching the KPIs, and we need to make more effort. But all these plans ignore the aspect of the two parts, the bi-communal aspect. For example, they don't measure the noise from the airport of Timbu, because it's not in the south part. It's not considered legal, for example, so we don't hear the noise. This kind of stuff is things that we need to think about.
Would you mind if I just make a little contribution? Obviously, I'm not from Cyprus. That's why I won't be able to talk about specifically how Nicosia or Famagusta can become a sustainable city specifically. But I would say that as a planner and urban designer who've been working in this field for about 30 years, I would say we talked a lot bottom-up approach, but obviously there needs a very strong vision, a roadmap to which we identify the goals to achieve, the objectives that we have to achieve, and this roadmap should be obviously have to be identified according to the different terms like long-term, medium-term, and short-term to me. But on the way, governance is very, very important. I mean, how you walk through this road with the help of specific projects, and how you include the different actors and stakeholders is very important, and how they act, how you give the roles. I mean, not you give it. In fact, they play the roles through their freedom, but to achieve a common and shared goals is very, very important. And I believe that to do that, there needs a continuous effort. First of all, will, desire, leaders, local leaders who can be raised, and following with growing together with the community. This is very important. So both way has to develop together, I guess. And there's always mistakes, as you mentioned. We have to learn from the mistakes. Without mistakes, I think it is not possible to achieve. I mean, we will learn through the mistakes, and we will make new steps. But this is the way how I think sustainability, sustainable transition can be achieved. And I believe that really young generations are very, very important, because they are so creative, so innovative, and so, powerful. So I believe that, your involvement, your participation, your achievement is much more important than ever. Okay.
I will just mention, what's your name? Isaac. Isaac. I don't want to sound, or disappoint you, but I think we are not at a good place regarding this. And why I am saying this is that, not that I'm an expert on sustainability, I'm not, as a background, urban planner myself or an environmentalist, but because to achieve sustainability, many disciplines need to collaborate. Like a mechanical engineer alone cannot do anything, an electrical engineer neither, an architect as well. So the hidden fractures show themselves most when we come to talk about sustainability. That's why I mentioned ecofeminism, because at that point we need to understand the greatness of nature itself and submit to it as stakeholders, equal stakeholders, all of us, and the communication and collaboration between us. And that means without becoming a federation, or we can't even get grants for like recycling plants and such things. It's really a very big problem.
Thank you, Gizem. And last question,
I'll make it
please.
very quick, since I mean most of my questions have been asked before, but I'd like to take on the point that you've raised about how we're stuck in this division mindset, and I'd like to ask you, if we have the luxury of a delusion for a moment, or tomorrow we wake up to a united island, how do we compete as Cyprus in the region and with other places creatively? Because that is on the greater European agenda as well. How would we compete?
Yes, actually, when I was thinking about this, I was thinking the same thing. How do we become one common public identity? How can we achieve this? Well, not overnight, for sure. And I was here for the previous panel, and they were speaking about trust-building measures, so we need a lot of them. But also, as we have been summarizing in this panel, through grassroots movements, through things like Home for Cooperation, tangible things in urban space where we can meet, exchange ideas. I can say this short little thing maybe, but we have to think about it and discuss maybe, like in these forums.
Well, thank you very much for all your contributions, our panelists as well as audience. I wish a very I mean, I wish the peace comes very soon here. That's what I'm going to tell you.